Thomas and Friends, Tales from the Rails, Episode 4, The Little Green Caterpillar. Percy the Little Green Engine was enjoying his stay on the island of Sodor. He was still learning, but he was progressing nonetheless. He was very cheeky and often liked to make fun of the big engines. "Hurry up, Henry. I'm working hard. You're just a big green lazy bone. Off you go." And they would get very upset at him. Percy was enjoying himself enormously. He liked being cheeky, and he puffed off back to the yard to pilot for some more engines. Eventually, Sir Robin Hat believed that Percy was ready to learn how to deal with freight cars. "Well done, Percy," he said one evening. "You are doing very well. Now, tomorrow I want you to learn about freight cars. They can be tricky, so be careful." "Don't worry, sir. I think I can handle it." "You can count on me." And he puffed away to the sheds. "I'm finally gonna shunt cars," announced Percy that night. "What do you think of that?" "There's nothing special," remarked James. He was not impressed. "Rubbish," replied Percy. "This is a special job, and you can't stop me from thinking that." "Well, Percy," added Thomas, "you shouldn't get too cocky. The trucks can be very troublesome." "Indeed," added Edward, "you better be careful." "I think I know what I'm doing," replied Percy furiously. "You all think I can't do it. Well, I'll show you all tomorrow that I can do it." And he puffed into a shed and slammed the door shut. "Well, that little bug is going to have a big surprise tomorrow," remarked James. And they all fell quickly asleep. Percy awoke the next morning, feeling much happier than last night. "Ah, today's the day," he told himself happily. He puffed onto the turntable, spinned around, and headed to the yard. He was ready, or so he thought. "They all think I can't do it. They think I can't shunt cars properly. Well, I'll show them," he puffed to himself. Percy waited and waited. He couldn't start until another engine who had shunted before came to show him how to do it. Eventually, Thomas arrived. "Hello, Percy. You're here early." "Yes, I am." "Well, do you think you're ready to shunt?" "Of course I am. Now just show me what to do." "Okay, let's go." Thomas puffed off with some trucks, and Percy followed closely behind. Percy watched as Thomas carefully shunted the trucks for the next train into place. "See, there we are, Percy. That's 2 trucks into place. Only a couple more to go." And Thomas puffed away to collect some more trucks. Inquired Percy. "This doesn't seem too hard." But he had no idea what he was in for. Percy was finally ready when Thomas had to be called away to go take a train. "I'm sorry, Percy. I really am, but I have to go." "Wait until Edward or Duck comes back with their train so they can show you how to shunt." "But why?" asked Percy. "Because," said Thomas, "you're not ready." "I am so," replied Percy. "You just don't think I'm ready because I'm a little engine." "Yes, that's it," answered James for Thomas. "You're not ready at all." Percy was furious. "Just wait for me, Percy, okay?" And Thomas puffed away with Annie and Clarabelle. "Poor Percy," remarked Clarabelle to Annie. "Poor Percy indeed," replied Annie. Percy was not going to wait for Thomas. He was going to shunt without him. And he set off for some trucks. Percy puffed to the quarry and went to get his trucks for the next train. They were loaded with slate and very heavy. But they were comfortable and didn't want to move. "Bug off, little green caterpillar," they said. "We don't want him," replied the other car. "We want Edward or Thomas," they replied. Percy bumped them hard. "Come on, we have to go, or we'll be late." "That's not how you talk to cars," they said. "We'll show him." And they did. They behaved well at first, but before Percy and his driver could realize it, they were pushing him on and on. "Push him! Go on!" they called to each other. "Push him off the rails!" "Oh dear," cried Percy, "what shall I do?" Percy tried to apply the brakes, but they were powerless in comparison to the truck surging on and on. "Oh no! Oh dear," cried Percy as he rushed past Thomas. "Percy!" cried Thomas. "What are you doing?" But Percy was too far. He was headed for trouble. Oh dear. Hope nothing bad happens. Duck had just returned with his train of slate and rubble from the quarry. "Oh dear," cried Percy. "What shall I do?" He was headed straight for the yard and into Duck's cars. Percy tried with all his might to stop the cars, but it was too late. Percy crashed right into Duck's car, veered right into a siding, and found himself pushed right into the mine. Percy was in disgrace, and Edward had seen everything. Harvey eventually arrived and came to clear the wreckage. Presently, Harvey soon arrived and started to clean up the mess. Shortly after, Thomas arrived with the Topham Hatt on board Annie and Clarabelle. "Percy, you are in big trouble." "I know, sir. I'm sorry, sir. I should have listened to Thomas and waited for Edward or Duck to arrive. I'm a silly little engine." "Don't worry about it too much, Percy," replied Sir Topham Hatt. "We all make mistakes. And besides, I'll let you have a do-over, and you can still shunt here in the yard." "Oh, thank you, sir," Percy replied. As Percy was beginning to be dug out, all the workmen had a new nickname for him, the Little Green Caterpillar. And Percy wasn't even mad. He just smiled. Percy is now most careful with cars. He now knows how not to talk to them. And he is careful with cars ever since.